11:51 p.m. While a Russian major in Moscow is daydreaming about his holiday bonus and a cold shot of vodka, 141 Ukrainian drones are currently trimming the grass just 50 feet above the Russian heartland. In exactly 540 seconds, the Orenburg gas plant and the Temryuk oil terminals will become the most expensive fireworks display in human history. Ukraine isn't just ringing in 2026, they're burning down the Kremlin's New Year resolution with a swarm of low-flying assassins. This massive operation didn't happen by accident. 72 hours ago, Ukrainian GUR and SBU intelligence units finished mapping the holiday rotation schedules of Russian air defense crews. They found the holiday hangover gap, the exact window when shift rotations are thin and attention spans are even thinner. While Russia was getting ready for parties, Ukraine was prep-loading 3D industrial maps into the digital brains of a massive swarm. The stakes couldn't be higher. The Temryuk port, a vital logistics hub for the Black Sea Fleet, the Orenburg gas plant, the largest of its kind on the planet, and the Novoshakhtinsk refinery, a massive ATM for the Russian war machine. The Russian energy sector is about to learn that in the world of modern warfare, being a superpower doesn't mean much when your high-tech defenses can be checkmated by a swarm of lawnmower engines and fiber-optic cables. Grab your popcorn, because this isn't just a strike, it's the ultimate Christmas special that the Kremlin never wanted to broadcast. 00:05 a.m. At the Temryuk port in Krasnodar, the Russian logistics officers are busy clinking glasses and celebrating another year of untouchable Russian power. To them, the Black Sea Fleet is a fortress, and the port is its impenetrable gas station. The night begins with what looks like a massive tactical blunder by Ukraine. Suddenly, 20 blips appear on the Russian radar screens, climbing boldly to 1,500 feet. These targets are shouting in the electronic spectrum, broadcasting massive radar signatures that look exactly like high-end cruise missiles. The Pantsir S-1 commander on the coast, eager for a promotion and a hero's medal, takes the bait hook, line, and sinker. He barks an order, and 5 57E6 missiles erupt from their canisters in a blinding flash of solid fuel propellant. At $300,000 per missile, he just spent $1.5 million of the Kremlin's dwindling budget to vaporize about $400 worth of plywood, glue, and wood screws. It's like using a golden sledgehammer to swat a mosquito. Satisfying for a split second, right until you realize you're out of gold and the rest of the swarm is already inside your house. While the Russian crews are high-fiving over their victory against the plywood decoys, the real killers are screaming across the Sea of Azov just 25 feet above the waves. These 10 ghost drones are blacked out, silent, and flying so low they are practically getting salt spray on their lenses. Because the Pantsir system is now in its mandatory 5-minute reload cycle, the front door to the port's fuel farm isn't just open, it's been taken off the hinges. The Russians are so busy celebrating their 1% success that they've completely ignored the 99% of the threat lurking in the radar clutter of the shoreline. As the ghost drones cross the pier, the Russian Repellent 1 electronic warfare system finally detects a discrepancy and surges to full power. It floods the area with megawatts of radio frequency noise designed to sever every link and spoof every GPS coordinate. To a standard commercial drone, this would be an instant death sentence, sending it spiraling into the ocean. But these Ukrainian drones aren't listening to the sky, they are listening to their own internal truth. They are running on inertial preloads, 3D digital twins of the Temryuk port stored on high-speed solid-state drives. They don't need a satellite to tell them where they are any more than you need a map to find your own kitchen in the dark. They are using the fundamental laws of physics to track every millimeter of movement, rendering the $5 million Russian jamming station as useless as a screen door on a submarine. At 500 yards from the target, the drone's onboard AI activates its final ACE card, Optical Terminal Guidance. The cameras begin cross-referencing the live feed with stored satellite imagery, identifying the massive circular oil tanks with the same surgical precision an iPhone 15 Pro uses to recognize a face for Face ID. No radio, no GPS, no human intervention required. The impact is a masterclass in calculated destruction. 2 FPV drones carrying 10-pound shaped charges designed to punch through battle tanks slam into oil tank number 4. The 10,000 tons of crude oil inside undergoes a catastrophic phase change, erupting into a 5,000-degree Fahrenheit fireball that illuminates the Krasnodar coastline for 20 miles. The shockwave is so intense it treats the surrounding reinforced concrete like a suggestion, shattering the structural integrity of the adjacent piers. As the massive oil fire begins its own convection-driven hurricane, the Russian officers on the ground are left staring at a trillion-dollar disaster in total disbelief. The Repellent 1 system is still screaming its useless jamming signals into the night like a man shouting at a fire that has already consumed his house. Temryuk is no longer a logistics hub, it's a funeral pyre for the Black Sea Fleet's ambitions, but for Ukraine, this was just the opening act. 1,200 miles to the east, the world's largest gas processing plant in Orenburg is about to find out that the new year isn't just about fireworks, it's about the total collapse of the Russian energy monopoly. The night is far from over, and Moscow is about to find out that invincible is just a word people use before they lose everything. 01:15 a.m., deep in the heart of the Ural Mountains, nearly 1,200 miles from the Ukrainian border, sits the Orenburg gas processing plant, the crown jewel of Gazprom, and the single largest gas processing facility on the planet. This is a massive ATM for the Kremlin, pumping out billions of cubic feet of natural gas to fund their war machine. Because it's so far from the front lines, the Russian commanders here feel as safe as a billionaire in a private bunker. They're protected by the Tor M2, a $25 million mobile surface-to-air missile system that Russia claims can hit a flying frisbee at 10 miles. But as the clock strikes 01:16, the Tor M2's radar begins to stutter. A swarm of 30 Ukrainian drones is weaving through the industrial skyline of Orenburg, staying so low they're practically threading the needle between the plant's massive cooling towers. To the Tor's targeting computer, this is a digital nightmare. Ukraine has launched a saturation wave, a mix of cheap, noisy decoys and silent, blacked-out strike drones. The Tor M2 commander, desperate to protect the world's most expensive gas station, authorizes free fire mode. His 9 M331 missiles, costing $350,000 a pop, streak into the air at Mach 3. They're designed to kill $80 million stealth jets, but tonight they're being used to vaporize $5,000 drones made of carbon fiber and lawnmower engines. It's the military equivalent of trying to stop a swarm of bees with a sniper rifle. You might hit a few, but you're going to run out of bullets long before they run out of bees. The Tor system successfully splashes 4 decoys, but the sheer volume of targets creates a buffer bloat in its processing unit. The computer is so busy calculating intercepts for the loud drones that it completely misses the 5 silent assassins slipping through the radar's blind spots. Just as the strike drones enter the inner sanctum of the facility, the local Russian electronic warfare unit slams the panic button. A localized jamming field erupts, instantly severing the drone's GPS links and cutting the operator's radio signals. For a few seconds, the drones are blind, drifting in the sub-zero Ural air. In any other war, this would be the end of the mission, but these aren't your average off-the-shelf drones, they're running on custom 3D-mapped inertial navigation. Inside the Ukrainian command center, the operators aren't panicking, they're coordinating. They've preloaded a high-fidelity digital twin of the Orenburg plant into the drone's onboard processors. Even without GPS, the drones know exactly where the fractionation column, the most vulnerable and expensive part of the plant, is located. It's like navigating your own house during a power outage. You don't need a flashlight to know where the furniture is. To make things even more insane, the Ukrainian team uses a thermal pull technique. The drone's infrared sensors lock onto the massive heat signatures of the gas-fired heaters, using the plant's own energy against it. They aren't following a satellite signal anymore, they're smelling the heat. The finale is a masterpiece of thermal destruction. 3 drones, each carrying a 20-pound thermobaric warhead, slam into the primary gas-liquid separation unit. The result is a secondary explosion so massive it registers on local seismic sensors. 15,000 tons of pressurized natural gas ignites in a fraction of a second, creating a 6,000-degree Fahrenheit column of fire that can be seen from space. The Tor M2 and the EW stations are still perfectly intact, but the facility they were guarding is now the world's largest Bunsen burner. Gazprom's money fountain has just been turned off. In less than 10 minutes, Ukraine has neutralized a facility that generates hundreds of millions of dollars in monthly revenue, all for the price of a used luxury SUV. The invincible Russian Ural defense just learned that 1,200 miles of distance means nothing when your enemy is smarter than your radar. But as the smoke rises over Orenburg, the Russians in Rostov-on-Don are about to realize they have an even bigger problem. The British-made Storm Shadows have just joined the party, and they're headed straight for the Novoshakhtinsk refinery. The new year is just getting started, and the Kremlin is running out of places to hide. 2:30 a.m. While the fires at Temryuk and Orenburg are still visible from low Earth orbit, the Russian commanders at the Novoshakhtinsk refinery in Rostov are vibrating with pure, unadulterated anxiety. They know they're next. This refinery isn't just a factory, it's the gas station for the entire southern military district. If this place goes up, the Russian tanks in Ukraine become very expensive, very heavy paperweights. To prevent this, the Kremlin has deployed the Buk M3, also known as the Viking. This is a $40 million beast designed to swat high-speed jets out of the sky with the clinical indifference of an elite bouncer. Its radar can track 36 targets simultaneously, and its missiles fly at 4 times the speed of sound. The Russian operators are hunched over their consoles, their eyes bloodshot, searching for any blip that doesn't belong. The attack begins with a chaos cocktail. Ukraine launches a wave of cheap plywood drones from the north, weaving through the radar's blind spots. The Buk M3's targeting computer starts screaming as its display lights up like a Times Square billboard on New Year's Eve. The Russian operators are forced into a high-stakes game of whack-a-mole, launching 9 M317M missiles at targets that cost less than the fuel used to intercept them. It's like a world-class poker player being forced to go all in against a toddler with a deck of Uno cards. The Russians are winning the battle of numbers, but they're losing the war of resources. Yet, while the Buk M3 is distracted by the noise, the real nightmare is already 5 miles out and closing fast. This is the Storm Shadow, a British-made $2 million precision cruise missile that is essentially a stealth fighter without a pilot. It's not flying low, it's practically skimming the tops of the wheat fields at 600 miles per hour. While the drones are the distraction, the Storm Shadow is the assassin. Suddenly, the Krasuka 4 electronic warfare station, the pride of the Russian Signal Corps, cranks its power to 110%. It pumps out a wall of electromagnetic interference designed to fry any GPS-guided weapon. In any other scenario, this would turn a cruise missile into a blind, wandering bird. However, the Storm Shadow doesn't care about your jamming. It's equipped with DS-MAC, digital scene matching area correlation. Think of it as a military-grade version of Google Street View combined with the processing power of a high-end NVIDIA AI chip. The missile has a 3D digital map of the refinery burned into its brain. It uses an infrared camera to look at the ground, matching the buildings and pipes it sees with the map it already has. It's like a Patek Philippe master watchmaker navigating his workshop by touch alone. You can take away his light, you can jam his radio, but you can't stop him from knowing exactly where every gear is located. The dramatic irony reaches its peak as the Russian EW operators report a successful GPS blackout, while the Storm Shadow's onboard computer confirms a 100% visual match on the refinery's primary distillation tower. The missile pops up in a high-loft maneuver, a final, lethal arc that puts it directly above the target. The impact is surgical. The 1,000-pound Broach warhead, a 2-stage monster designed to punch through reinforced bunkers, strikes the heart of the refinery. The first stage clears a path through the outer steel skin, and the second stage detonates inside the high-pressure refining core. The result is a 6,000-degree Fahrenheit thermal bloom that registers on global weather satellites. The Novoshakhtinsk refinery doesn't just catch fire. It undergoes a structural collapse as the steel support beams are instantly converted into molten slag. In less than 5 minutes, the southern military district's fuel supply has been cut off at the source. The Buk M3 and the Krasuka 4 are still standing, their screens blank, their mission a total failure. Russia's invincible defense was checkmated by a combination of basement-built decoys and high-end Western engineering. As the sun begins to rise, the Kremlin is looking at a bill for over $3 billion in lost infrastructure, fuel, and equipment. Ukraine didn't just launch a strike, they launched a masterclass in modern, asymmetric warfare. They've proven that no matter how many millions you spend on a wall, a clever enough enemy will always find a way to walk through the front door with a smile and a match. As the smoke clears over Temryuk, Orenburg, and Novoshakhtinsk, the math for 2026 is looking pretty grim for Moscow. While the Kremlin was busy drinking to its own invincibility, Ukraine was busy delivering a billion-dollar reality check. This wasn't just a fireworks show, it was a masterclass in asymmetric warfare. where $5,000 lawnmower drones and clever code can checkmate a superpower's billion-dollar energy monopoly. So which target do you think was the biggest gut punch? Was it the flaming oil in Temryuk, the frozen gas in Orenburg, or that surgical storm shadow strike in Rostov? Drop a comment below and let's talk strategy. Ukraine just proved that no radar is high enough and no jammer is loud enough to stop a mission fueled by pure ingenuity.